Okay, guys, hi, Phil, down under Maker. I think there's been something really broken with the stream for the last hour. I apologize. I've been talking to myself for an hour and, well, about 50 minutes. I wondered why I was getting no chat. Hi, Keela. Something bizarre going on with everything. Sorry about that. I've been talking to myself for the last hour and building parts of truck and breaking them. So let's catch you all up. Now I know why I didn't get any Fs in chat. Nick, I was expecting you to give me an F in chat when you saw what I did, but you weren't here to see it because everything was broken. So let's bring you up to speed. I have been fitting a few parts and struggling with it, and I'm not taking them off. I'm just not. I struggled for the best part of 20 minutes to get some of these parts into place. And yeah, I'm not taking them off again. But what I will do for you guys is I will show you what's been going on. Let's go to this camera. That's a support tab. Those are supposed to be removed. It's not actually listed in the manual as a support tab, and you're supposed to take it off. I then tried to take it off on this side and broke the whole damn piece. Now, it took me 35 minutes to strip the chassis down last week to fit this piece. Remember, it didn't fit. I printed a new one, ever so slightly adjusted the sizes, and yeah, when I was snipping the tab off, it broke. So I took a deep breath. I assumed you guys were just going sigh, Phil's doing silly things again, and being polite enough not to give me Fs in chat. No, you guys weren't here. So, Keela, something bizarre happened. Chat didn't start. Build didn't start. I was wondering why it was suddenly playing. Thanks, Steve. Somebody, if it's not working next time, send me a Discord DM so it pops up on my screen, please. I effed. So, where are we at? I fitted the AdBlue tank, which is, for those who don't know, AdBlue is a detergent that's used in diesel engines to try and make them a little bit cleaner. I fitted, so that's the AdBlue tank. I fitted the air tanks. That was quite a straightforward fit. Fitting the outer fuel tank, the inboard parts of the fuel tank, that was a lot more difficult. I had some alignment issues that I had to kind of tweak things as I went, but it's all working now. So, where we got to, I have just realized, if we now jump over to the manual, will that load? Will that load? Let me go here. That one. Okay. I have just realized that when I threw out those parts 2 weeks ago, what I thought was the broken parts, I threw out some parts that aren't, well, that I needed. So I got as far as fixing the wishbone, a part of the suspension, and then I realized that chat wasn't scrolling, and then I realized that the stream wasn't working, and then that's brought you guys up to date. So let's quickly go over this instruction. Last week, when I broke one of the wishbones, I was doing it with my parallel pliers, and I hadn't properly understood the instructions. So let's go to this one. I was just using the parallel pliers and crushing the ball joint into the socket. Not properly understanding that on this piece, that dimple is designed to give a little bit of relief inside when you're putting it together. And that's why everything broke. I'd put too much pressure on it because I was just using the straight up sides of the pliers and not allowing that relief hole. So at least we know why that's. Then we moved on to this part of the, well, I moved on to this while I was solo, this part of the instruction manual. and realized I can't find these parts. So that, I think, got thrown away with those parts when I threw them out the other day by accident. So what I do have is I have a whole bundle of wheels to put together. So what we're going to do for the next little bit is we're going to put these off-road tires together, and that should at least give me some breathing space to calm myself down, get myself back together, and move on. So we need lots and lots of M3x6 screws according to the manual. Oh, the other thing that I found a glaring fault with Super Slicer, which while I'm assembling this, I will show you guys because it's actually quite interesting. Let's go to Super Slicer. Okay, now let's go back to the 3D view. Now look closely at this part. This is the main body of the cab of the truck. This part here is a print-in-place support. So it's part of the actual piece. Now let's not confuse things. Let's get rid of that part because that printed properly. Let's slice it. The part goes away for no reason. There is no legitimate reason for that part going away. And the problem I have is I know that it sort of sees the part because there's the base of it. You're just battle testing all the parts before you let the kids beat them up. Yeah, fair. So the base of that print-in-place support prints, but then the rest of it doesn't, and I can't find any reason for it not. Now, I've told you guys that I'm on the Super Slicer basic team, so I'm going to submit this as a bug report to the guys who are running it and the devs, and see what happens, because that seems like a major fault with the slicing engine. I've tried a few different methods of achieving this, and it always comes out the same. So let's go on and build some wheels. Now, I'm not going to get all 30 M36s out at once because we know me, I will drop them everywhere. Nick, while I remember, I did order those drivers that you messaged me about. So they are on their way. Problem was I hadn't finished filling my AliExpress cart and my wife hit buy now. So got the drivers, got one or two other bits and pieces, missed out on getting my discounts on a couple of power supplies that I wanted for printer upgrades. What I want to do is move a couple of my printers, which are currently serial connected SKR Picos to Raspberry Pis. I've been getting low voltage issues reported on the Pis, so I was going to put a dedicated power supply in and readjust the way that they're connected. I can't do that for this until I get those power supplies though. So let's go on to these wheels. Let's go to Chrome. Let's go there so I can see it too. Okay, so we are doing the off-road tires for those of you who didn't realize. 1, 2, 3. I'll grab 4 for now, and there's even more on the other bench because they come in packs of 4. These are the Lego tires. For those who haven't done a 3D sets kit before, they do try and offer a Lego tire solution, or you can print your own if you're really good and really set up for TPU. So hopefully everybody is still here and I'm still streaming. And for those of you who were here for yesterday's stream that I did ad hoc, you'll see that my Meet 2 is actually working now. Don't know why it stopped working every 30 seconds yesterday, but maybe it was just jinxed. Talks about printing the tires, which we're not doing. And then we have, these must be the front wheels. Now, I did get my act together when I printed these parts and put them in the part sorter, because I know what I'm like and I will lose small parts. So that's them. Now, something we also need to know. These rings in here are used for suspension dampening. You can either print them or you can buy them. They're another Lego part. So I bought them. I wasn't gonna muck around. I don't have a printer that's tuned well enough for TPU at this point. So AliExpress does let get good prices if you jump through a ton of hoops. And they have a sale. I've not had any problems getting the discounts. It's a case of getting there before my wife burns them. I mean, I could pay full price. The power supplies are like $5 American each, roughly, delivered in 6 days. So what have we got here? This is Wheel Mini B off-road front. So that's what we need. We need the fronts. That's a front. That's a front. We need so this looks like there's a small difference between the front and rear back halves. I can't see any physical differences. Nope, there's no differences. It must just be that they come off a plate called that. It's 5 screws from the back for each. There's my little drill. Yes, I agree there, Nick. Sometimes it's better to do a couple of smaller orders because then you can double down on the discounts if you're between discounts tiers. So you can use the same lower tier twice because you don't quite make it to the next tier up. Yes, BTT has 3 or 4 different stores and they all have different prices and different coupons. It's weird that they do that, but I think they do it because they optimize the sales for different regions. But then they don't region lock them. Oh, speaking of BTT, I reassembled the H2 Revo extruder, and it seems to be gripping hold of filament like it was a new one. So cleaning all that debris out was definitely a good choice. Now, how does this go? Is that just a snap fit? So what I'm talking about here is this black ring. That looks like it just snaps in. Now, do I snap fit it before or after is the question. I don't think snapping it in before or after makes a difference in this case. So that's one. Did I send you all death? Let's go to that one so you can see what I'm up to better. So that disc fitted nice and easily. It's quite a nice trim. And now we need to... Okay, so let me just show you what's going on here. Now I've tried it out. On each part, there's a bead that kind of just snap fits in. You just go pop, and it fits around the slot on the tire. And that's a really nice fit just by itself. Now, a trick for new players when you're doing this, because this was something that was shown on the Facebook page of 3D Sets. Put a couple of Allen keys in the holes, and that means that you get the inner and outer hubs reasonably well aligned. Which should make then putting it together a lot less stressful. Hey Steve, if you're around, question for you if I may. Do you ever get random stuff turn up from Big Tree Tech? Like just randomly, they don't tell you about it? It just shows up. A couple of weeks ago, I got sent a Panda touch screen, which turned out to be very good pivot content for when I screwed something up. But nobody at Big Tree Tech knows who sent it to me or why. Now, when I tighten that, I over-tightened it a little and it's pushed that out of alignment. And it's not like I'm a big streamer that I should be sent stuff. And I would imagine that normally they would tell you in advance. Okay, so new learning from this. Make sure that you put 2 screws in before you remove the Allen keys. The thing is, Nick, it had a Big Tree Tech internal order number on the documents. The same as when you get like a warranty replacement or they send me beta gear. Oh, Keela, those hoodies are back in stock, so I'll organize that hopefully this afternoon. Is Jeremy watching too? Keela, is Jeremy watching right now? Hey, I'm not knocking at Nick if it was a fat finger error. But I haven't ordered anything from them in like months. He's doing tickets but can hear you. Damn it, I won't say what I was going to say then. It's much more fun streaming when I've actually got people to talk to. I was like, why isn't Nick talking to me? Maybe he's dual streaming. So 2 Allen keys to keep the hubs lined while I put the first screw in. Helps if I use an Allen key that I'm not trying to drive things with. Actually, being a left-hander, it's really... Okay, story for you guys. When I was in high school, I was in woodworking shop. And in woodworking shop, you have these vices where you can slide them in and out. You just have to use a little lever to disengage the thread drive. And I was just leaning back over one of the benches, had my thumb just where the vise would be if it was closed, except it was open. And one of my friends had gone away to find a big hammer to whack said vise to free up the lever because it had got stuck and the vise was in free slide mode. He came up with big said hammer, whack, and the vise slid shut. So now I have 2 different sized thumbs. So you know how, well, most of you know I'm a teacher. I do teach woodworking and metalworking as well as engineering. And I got told by the new head of department that I was already qualified for the job because I already had a standard shop teacher disability with my crushed thumb. And I'm like, gee, thanks. That was here in Australia. Now, if we want to talk school injuries in the UK, I was pretty good at playing rugby. And for my size, I could take a hit pretty hard because I'm not the hugest guy in the world. And for Americans, rugby's like NFL, but they're real men and they don't need body armor. I was put in the front row of a scrum against guys who were much bigger than me. And my teammates were also much bigger than me. I should have been a back row, or I should not have been in the scrum at all. So in a scrum, you're basically bent over at the waist and you're pushing up against the opposition team. I had one of my team behind me holding me down around my waist, and the opposition team guy, he's holding me at the shoulders. So let me go with this. You kind of like this. So his head was here, another guy's head was here, and we're up against each other, trying to gain ground while we were also manipulating the ball underneath us. And the guy in front of me decided it would be fun to try and pick me up. The guy behind me is obviously holding me down, and my back went pop. Like, it was such a noise that there's, 12 of us in this scrum? They all let go. They all stood back, and they were like, oh, shit. And I just lay there on the ground going, something bad happened. And the coach came across, and he's like, get up. He did agree to take me off the pitch because I was quite obviously hurt. But I'd broken my back. I wandered around for the next 7 or 8 weeks to the end of the season with a broken back playing. And it wasn't until we emigrated here and I started my pilot's training I started losing contact with my toes in flight. And I went off to go see a physiologist. They took an x-ray of my back and went, oh, that's nice, you broke your back. And L3 and L4, which are like the base of your back, just above your belt line, are fused together. Win! So I've been playing rugby for months with a broken back. As one of them said to me, it's pretty good practice for moving to Australia where everything's trying to kill you, not just your opposition players. So, where are we at? While I've been chatting, front wheel. I definitely need to replace that overhead camera with an OBS so it does autofocus. Another wheel, they're the fronts. Now we need to do the rear, so I think it's more or less the same, but yeah, it's more or less the same with no center ring. One, two, get 2 more tires from my stash. As part of this whole process of building this truck, I figured if I'm spending this much money on the STLs, I may as well get my money's worth. So I'm building 2 trucks, 1 for each kid. And that's why I bought 12 tires, and I bought extras of the damper rings that we talked about a few minutes ago, so that I can just go ahead and build when I'm ready. The one we're building is probably going to be for my son at this stage. I only grabbed 1 out. I needed 2, Phil. You need 2. I probably should have been a bit more careful with the alignments on this when I put it together. There we go. What's everybody got planned for the weekend? We know Steve's going to be doing some streaming on Sunday night. Keela, you've probably got your stream at midnight my time, Saturday night my time. I'm guessing that probably means Nick's going to be heckling on both of those. Oh, Keela, after yesterday's stream, I picked up 9 more subscribers from your raid. That was awesome. I think I might have irritated Thunderkeys with some of my comments about Box Turtle. But they weren't really about the Box Turtle team or the design. It was more about the fact that LDO were a bit all over the place with their kit. Getting your daughter to bed. I had a chat with Armour 3D Printing as well, David, and if the stars align and I'm starting a stream as he's finishing one at some stage, he said he's more than happy to raid across to me and vice versa. I'm going to raid across to him if it ever works. What I need to do is see if I can do the same with Captain Kern Makes and a few of the other guys. So I read a little bit more because some more information became visible to me in terms of what it's going to take for me to get monetized. I need 500 subscribers and I need 3,000 hours of watch time. The watch time is probably going to be the stumbling block. Is either that or I need 3 million shorts views. And I consider shorts to be just garbage content for the most part. So unless I've got something really compelling to do as a short, you probably won't see any shorts from me. We were giving how to about BOC. It was in good fun. Yeah, nothing I said was about the design. It was LDO's execution could have been better. Not going for D-cut shafts and using two strands of two individual wires rather than joined wires. It's just, we expect better from LDO and we're paying a lot of money. Okay, so we are at 3 wheels built and I need some more screws. Let's get rid of the whacking stick. Bear with me. You might not be able to hear this, but my robo vacuum has just entered the room and he's immediately chewed up some bits of plastic on the floor and jammed up. So I'll be back in a moment. Oh, come back screen. Ha! So we're at 3 wheels done. Robo vacuum has been paused. I'll fix him up after the stream. Now I do have a bit of margin to stream longer today because number one, I only actually streamed for an hour in reality, even though I was talking to myself for an hour before that. And my car's in for a service, so I can't go anywhere and do any shopping like I normally have to do after the stream. I normally go do the grocery shopping. Yeah, I normally do the grocery shopping straight after stream and then go pick up my daughter from school. But without a car, I have to wait for my mum to come pick me up, to take me to pick up my car again, and then pick up my daughter from school. Or if the car isn't ready, mum will have to take me to school, and then the car. One of the two. Now, one thing that does annoy me a little bit about me having messed up and not printed those, or having thrown out those parts and then not realized, is I was all set up to start doing soldering today. I'd got my digital microscope all set up. I did that yesterday during the stream. That's one of the reasons for streaming yesterday, was to make sure that it was all working and it worked well enough to show people on stream, so that you could get up close and personal when I'm doing my soldering. Partially because if I get a good one, I might clip it and use it as content for my students on how to solder properly. Tight. 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 4 wheels done. I was teasing Thunder Keys and explaining Box Turtle because he hasn't watched many build streams. He probably hasn't watched too many of the build streams. Probably tries to go, no, not another one. I got told this morning that Bontech still hasn't fully completed their shortlisting for the index beta. So I'm still living in hope that I'll make the beta team and I get to play with it. That means I'm going to have to move my printers around too. Or I could put it on one of the V0s. One more, no, how many more screws? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, he's watched a lot. Yeah, he helps people. I remember watching a stream. I won't name the creator, but one of my good friends is a dev for the product that they were putting together and making a hash of. And watching my friend's stress levels go up as he's like, dude, don't do that. No, don't do that either. No, definitely don't do that. Was quite funny because he was messaging me on the side going, oh my God. Yes, I've dropped yet another Allen key on the floor, guys. Yeah, it must be really frustrating for devs who put so much time and effort into their, I'll call it a product, into their project. And then some ham-fisted creator comes along and butchers it because they're not reading things correctly or trying to take shortcuts. I'm guessing some of my students feel that way about me when I mark their projects that they've been working on for 12 months. You know what I should be doing? I've got the right filament loaded. I should be printing. That's not. I should be printing those ball joints. Super slicer. Go away. Front axle. Open. Now this is how I know I have these parts. I have printed them. They're part of this plate. So the parts I'm missing are these two. I have all of the other parts. I have this bit, this bit. Sigh. So let's go. Now, if I'm doing a print run anyway, I think it's going to be prudent to print another ball joint and wishbone. Does that work? Yeah, that works. I don't actually need that part. Why am I worrying about it? Now, the reason I'm printing a whole new wishbone and ball joint is I just want to be sure. And I know that the ball joint, if I go 99.9 and 99.9, it's going to fit better. So slice now. Let's just make sure those print in place supports are in there. They appear to be. Yep. It doesn't look like they're the parts that Super Slicer disappeared. I remember seeing them. Now this is where I have to remove all those parts I was lazy with that I just dumped on my build plate. Let's not do that. That's a bit silly. Control A and drag them close to the middle of the bed. Slice now. Send. Upload and print. So let's get back to this build. I've got one more wheel to put together. Just for I just want to see how tough it is to put the tire on after the fact. That way works just as easy. I can see that I might need to put a couple of drops of super glue on the edge of the tire to hold them to the rim if I get too sporty with the truck, but from what I understand, the gear ratios aren't that steep, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, let's just for a minute go here and here. Turn that off. And go. No, not me. There. Let's hope it... Yeah, I think I've turned the tracking off. So now we can actually watch. No, tracking's still tracking me. Now, it's worth a try. I was going to see if I could just focus it on the printer. Go back to there. So, what we have now, 2 back wheels, 2 more back wheels, and the front wheel's done. Let's jump to there and bring it up on my screen here too. So that's if you're doing the on-road wheels, which we're not. That's how to print the on-road tires, how to put together the on-road tires, install the wheel. Which is a case of screwing them to the suspension assemblies, which we can't do. Actually, we might. Let's see if we can do the rear axles as an assembly, because I'm pretty confident I've got those parts. If not, well, you'll know that I really am poor at this. There's another piece off that. I do have them. I do have those missing ball joint parts. They look like a dog's breakfast because I haven't cleaned them up. But they are here. Now, let's go back up to this. It says that we need to snap out that very tiny center column. Snippers. Because of how small these parts are, I printed them with a brim. There's nothing worse than getting 3/4 way through a build and going, ah crap, that part wasn't right because I didn't print it properly because it came off the plate. Looks like the filament might have been a little bit wet when I did this print. I've since moved out. Winter hit here pretty quickly and pretty hard. I don't remember if it was on stream with you guys or before you guys got here because of my streaming faux pas. The rainfall in the last few days has been crazy. We've had about 3 months rain in 5 days, 4 or 5 days. So I've had to break out my Sunlu S4 filament dryer, not sponsored, and chuck all of the filaments for this project in there, and I'm just leaving them on the keep me dry setting. So let's go to here. And let's have a closer look. No, that one. So that ball joint has a little column in the middle. There. That column needs to come out without breaking anything. Let's see what I've got that will poke that out without breaking things. I don't think I've got a pair of needle nose pliers that small. Try my tiny tweezers. Now these are designed for electronics work, so they may not be strong enough. It's too small to get my flush cutters into. Let's try the other one. Let's have a look at another picture later in the manual and see if that gives us any more detail. So the ball itself stays in place, and then that other part clips to it. I wonder. What I'm thinking, everybody, is this is the part that's got to clip onto it. Maybe we can clip this onto it early and use it. Nope. Scalpel. Let's play Will He Lose His Fingers Again? As in, will I hurt myself again rather than will I lose fingers over again? I haven't lost any fingers yet. Hopefully Steve would be proud of me. I'm looking at needle files and going, that would be an excellent pry tool, but I'm resisting the urge. Nope, too big. My scalpel's normally here. Ooh, stronger tweezers. The problem I've got is I don't know how much freedom of movement this is going to need. Because it seems like it's going to have quite a lot. And I'm not sure whether I'm actually going to need to do the snippy snip. Let's go for high precision screwdriver. It worked. It kind of snapped off in the middle, so I'm going to try one more little tap. Perfection. Why didn't I think of this before? I try not to be a user of percussive persuasion, but in this case, I really don't think there was an option. Certainly, if you're one of my students, you should be talking to me before you do this. All fixed. So, 2 ball joints. Let's go to here. Now, this is the off-the-shelf motor unit. They show as yellow here in the manual, but when you go to the BOM, it's actually listed as a blue unit. So I'm confident I got the right one. It feels like it's got some sort of worm drive inside because you can't rotate the output shaft. So axle front housing right and housing left. Actually, before we do that, somebody remind me, I put all the wheel hubs back in my parts order. Mandolin slices are deadly. Sorry, I'm just only half reading chat while I work this stuff out. That seems to be that part. These might be universal, because I seem to have a few of them. That. I'm just going to get everything out that looks like it may vaguely be part of what we're trying to achieve. I know we need the suspension springs. The ball bearings. Where are the ball bearings? They are in the sorter from memory. So let's go to the manual. Behind chat, there is a part. Let me move it up. This part here, I have in my hand right now, this one. So we've got that. That part doesn't look like it matches any of these pictures. This part does. Let's put that there. This part appears to be this one here. There must be a rear suspension component. So that is one half of the motor housing. Let's go back to me. So on the back of the motor, and it doesn't say to remove it, there's a tab. So I'm just gonna, yep, there's a recess inside the printed part for that to go into, and that seems to have snapped into place really nicely. So I'm happy with that. Next, we need this part, which goes on as the other half of the shell. And they're held together with M312s. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 plus 1, 4. So they seem to go in from that side. Am I going to create a track for it out the back? To be decided. We don't have an awful lot of garden space at this place. We live in not quite a gated community, but it's close. the properties are big blocks of land, big lots, but then everybody builds big houses on them too, so it kind of eats up that lot space. But we do have lots and lots and lots of municipal parks and gardens locally that are paid for by the local authority. So the kids will have great fun down there. More of a mud puddle, yeah. Well, actually, that's a point. Locally, we have it's called an eco park. Essentially, it's so I'm just paying attention to this. Now I get it. We have what we call an eco park. It's basically a conservation area for the wetland birds. As much as we live right next to the desert, we are also... The reason Perth exists is because it was largely wetlands in this area. And there's a boardwalk through the wetland, which would be awesome for these trucks to go for a drive along the boardwalk. Plus, there's plenty of shelter if it starts raining. So we could take the kids in their little wagon. They've got one of these portable beach wagons that we take places to carry all their rubbish with us. We could load the kids and the trucks into the wagon, take them to the eco park, and they can drive them on the boardwalk. Skate park would be fun. We've got a skate park. We've got 2 skate parks locally too, so that might also be an option. My little guy is probably a little bit too young to really be doing too much with the truck by himself. He'll love to chase it around. But my daughter will be all over, this is mine, I want to drive it all on my own, that sort of stuff. I'm just looking at this and think I might have just stuffed up. Nothing insurmountable. I think I put the motor in upside down. Let me grab one of the others and see if it'll make a difference. They look like they're completely symmetrical. Not quite completely symmetrical. I am going to have to strip it apart. Not the end of the world though. Caught it early enough. So once we get this 3D Sets truck out of the way, not that none of them finding it a chore, I am quite enjoying the build, but once it's done, we need to move on to a new project. And I'm thinking that we might go back to something more directly 3D printer related, because my end of 5 has taken a hammering doing all this printing. And what I'm thinking is I might dismantle it, give it an X-rail, because I have an X-rail sitting here for it already. put on a modified carriage and remount the H2 extruder in a different way, because currently it's bolted to the original Ender 5 V-wheel carriage. But I think I could get some significantly better rigidity out of it. Oh no, maybe I have got it the right way around. Okay, let me explain to you what's going on. On the instruction manual, the motor terminals, the electric terminals, are here. And they face the bigger half of the shell. And there's also a bump in the plastic, which then also goes into the shell, it faces that part of the shell. But on the unit I've got here, the motor is oriented the other way around. I don't think it's going to make any difference. And I'm sure I can reroute the wiring if I have to. So I'm putting it back exactly how I originally assembled it. But it was definitely worth double checking that before I screwed something up, if you'll pardon the pun. So, what have we learned from today's situation? Number one, using flush cutters to just simply snip out support tabs isn't necessarily a great way to do it. And I'm going to have to reprint that part yet again and then fit it and put it all back together again, which is going to take me about 35 minutes of time. I'm going to do that off stream. Other things we've learned. Dump stream elements. Jeremy told me the other day to dump stream elements and I should have listened. That screw goes into there. Hopefully if Keela and Jeremy are still listening, Jeremy's standing in the background going, I told him so. So I know I have a nasty habit of pulling the thing I'm fixing close to me when I'm doing this. That's me. Okay. So what we've got next is a bunch of wheel bearings. One. Do we need one or do we need two? It says we need two. Now, I have been cheating on you guys a little bit with the 3D Sets Facebook group. and they said use a second bearing as a tool to press the first bearing into place. Because it works. So it's a reasonable push fit. Like you could push it in with your fingers if you wanted to, but it's about making sure it goes in square. So by placing a second bearing on the top and getting the parallel pliers and just going up, you saw how easily that went together. I told you so. Thanks, Jeremy. So where are we at? Let's go back to the manual for a second. We've installed this shell and this shell. I've put the bearing into this part and the bearing into this part. Actually, I can probably zoom out a bit to make life a little simpler. There we go. You can see a bit better now. There we go. So we've got this part with a bearing, that part with a bearing. And that looks like it. Next, we need front axle bottom left and front axle bottom right, and we have to slot them together. That's not it. Well, would this be the parts that I can't find again? That is the question. Now, I really definitely don't remember seeing these parts. I've got it, or maybe. So that looks like it's that one. And that one. Haha, tapered version. Did you guys see that the printer finished over my shoulder? So they must be rear components. That looks suspiciously right. That's the other ball joint female. There. Oh my goodness, I'm finding parts I didn't even know I had. Now here's the question. Will we persist with using those original ball joints? Well, shouldn't be playing with those yet, they're still warm. Sorry guys, that was probably a bit loud. So that wishbone has all printed out nicely, and those ball joint pieces that we had to pound with a hammer, they've printed much more nicely as well. So I might substitute those in a moment. So let's have a look at this. Let's go to instruction manual. So as you can see, there's this funny tapered flat overlap, which snuggles up against one of the other parts, like that. They are part of the front assemblies. I have two of them. One appears to be a left hand and one of them appears to be a right hand. So let's... Oh, they all have it. Was I just not looking close enough? Yeah, I just wasn't looking close enough, guys. So let's have a look at this. These are axle front bottom right and front bottom left. Okay, yep. They slot together, and I'm presuming there'll be the other way done in a minute, and they pop into another part. That's what was confusing me. I was seeing this part and assuming it was part of part number one, but it wasn't. That's why I was getting confused. So that actually looks like... I'm not stupid. That's... Okay, let's have a closer look. Maybe I was part right. Ah, some of these are longer than others. That's what's confusing me. I need all the short ones. So, to explain, the short ones have the ball joint grooves in them. There, for the suspension. Just a little bit of part cleanup. So, let's make sure we've got this the right way around. That goes there, that's the top half. That's the accompanying bottom half. They go together with that part Now, let's go back to the bigger shots. Let's go there. Can you see that little lump there? Just next to my fingernail. That one. That one. There's a little lump. That fits into the socket here. But it's just ever so slightly binding. So comparing this to the manual, that is right. That's the other component that we need. I need to snap them both together without snapping them. Hey Kilo, remember how Jeremy was talking about using the hemostat the other day? Not going to work in my situation. Well, it might work. It's close. It snapped together. Yes. And as you can see, the arm is rotating. Let's compare that to the manual. I think we've got it. Now, I have been at this for now for almost 2.5 hours, and as much as I've only been talking to you guys directly properly for an hour, I am starting to get tired, and I know I am. I have to look after myself because I have a few health conditions that you guys don't need to worry about. So I think I do need to call it here before I get too tired and get grumpy and throw things. So let's go back to this one. I have been Phil. I have screwed up a lot today. I have managed to make some progress on this truck, thank goodness. It's time for me to hop on out of here. Have a good day, everybody. Bye. Oh, buy stuff from the merch store. Bye.